Hey guys, new video here. It's been a while. This is Elemental Hit, kind of Magic Find, not really. Just leveling a lot of gems build. It's fire based. I'm going to do a. I'm kind of low on sulfite, so I'm just going to do this delve right here, monster level 82. Show off a little gameplay first. As always, it's a nice build. I've been having a lot of fun with this. It looks cool. I didn't really play it when it was really OP, but after the nerfs, even without a single target set up, it can clear maps, it can clear delves pretty effectively. So let's just get through this, and then I have a map right here. It's a T10, which is usually what I'm running to level my gems. I made this because, like, you know, this league, there's a lot of builds to play. You're gonna need a lot of monies. So if you don't want to go Magic Find, I think this is like kind of like a midway point, and I'll show you what I mean. Why is my mini map so big? There we go. So I'm not going Magic Find on this, although you could, but I think, like, if you're gonna do an Elemental Hit, you might as well just go like TS Wind Ripper. But like I said, this is kind of like a midway point, and I'll show you because I'm leveling 20 gems. Currently I'm leveling a Volatile Dead. I think those might sell for a little bit later. And as you can see, like, this is obviously, these are like little Weetas, right? So nothing too crazy. Ooh, I just took a lot of damage there. It is a little bit squishier than I like. There are things you can do to kind of fix that, but I'm not doing it because this is softcore. So you do all, it's pretty easy. As you can see, like, I can like just talk all the way through. Just hold down one button. Great stuff. I have all haste for the defensives there. I'm gonna pick up my Azurity here, and then we'll go back to town. We'll do a map, so that you can see it in a map. Gems level, if you put Beyond on your maps, gems level, you can do it in just over a day, I'd say. Even if you're not like a power gamer or anything like that. So let me open this one up. Show you the map, then we'll talk about the build, talk about the gear, and I'll even go over, like, if you wanna try out a cold base version, we can do that too. All right. So yeah, I think I have Shroudwalker here, so it's going to jump around a little bit. Sorry if that's like really disorienting. I know it's like a bad part of Flicker Strike, you know, look at this. I can't control my character. Alright, Azurity Vein. Let's get this. And then where's the boss? Where is he? Where's that bad boy? There he is, okay. And I'm moving pretty fast. It's obviously a Queen of Force build. I'll also go over some other things you can do to be tankier. But I value speed. I think if you play a bow build, you should really go for the speeds, right? Like fast movements. Oh my god, I can't control my character. Look at this. Bears. Okay. And how many monsters remain? 9 monsters remain. Okay, I think that's pretty fair, right? So that's the build right there. Once again, no single target setup. I'm going to show you what I have here. I have Elemental Hit linked with Wed, or I guess this is now called Idwas. This is like a huge more multiplier for your elemental damage, and your only elemental damage will fire base specifically. I have a Combustion. This is more fire damage. It's chance to ignite. The ignite is like actually kind of important to try to get that to at least, like, you know, very near 100%, if not well over. And then you have obviously the increase in the minus the fire resistance if they have been ignited. So then not only is it it's like 2 more multipliers, right? Which is really nice, and even a bigger more multiplier the more resistance that the monsters have, especially boss monsters, unique monsters, things like that. If they have resist already, this minus 19 fire resistances becomes a much bigger multiplier. Just trust me, the math works out, okay? The GMP here, because it's just for coverage, and then the Elemental Hit, obviously, you want to get this to 2120. Right now, I think a 2120 Elemental Hit is... it's got to be like 1 point something exalts, right? Like, so many people are leveling these. Next, Ignite Proliferation once again has a little bit more damage with Ignite, but that's not really a big deal. But you do want the Ignite to spread out, because the way the Elemental Hit works is that if it hits an enemy, it'll like do the AoE, but if it's been ignited, it's a little bit bigger of an AoE. So what will happen is, let's just say that Katarina right here, right, is the monster I've killed, and it's like Ignite Prolifing to like Tora, right? So now Tora has an Ignite on her, so when I hit Tora, there's a bigger AoE and so on and so forth. So it's a little bit extra coverage. So that's great. Definitely suggest this. Now there are some things I'll mention later with ring swaps where you will take this out for a fire penetration. Fire penetration is really strong because Ignite Prolif, it only works if you have a corpse on the ground. If the corpses are like destroyed or otherwise not there, you can't actually Prolif it. So that kind of sucks. So if you can't have corpses on the ground, for example, you're using a pyre or something like that, then you're gonna want to swap this out for a fire pen 2120. Okay, and then Mirage Archer is it's like a turret, right? Like you have to have this. Like I know it doesn't look that great on paper, right? But this thing auto aims for you, and then so like you'll be like running this way like this, and then you'll shoot, right? You'll shoot this way, and then your Mirage Archer, once it hits, it'll like shoot and like clear around you, usually like in a different direction than you're shooting. So really nice for clear and a little bit extra damage, once you have your attack speed up and everything like that. I mean, it obviously deals less damage than you, but it's hitting quite frequently, and the alley hit itself does a lot of damage. So next, the setup I have here is I have a Lightning Golem. The Lightning Golem, I just like the increased attack speed and cast speed, obviously, like Vol Grace, cast a little bit faster. That doesn't really matter, but the attack speed you get out of the animation faster, right? And I think, once again, with bow builds, you're going for that smoothness. You want to feel good, you want to run around. Running around is so much better than shield charging because less desync, and it just feels better. You don't run into rocks and stay in the same position for that long. It automatically contours around like corners and things like that. So yeah, I just want to get out animations faster. I want to attack faster. This helps your Mirage Archer a little bit. So I go with a Lightning Golem, but you could also go with an Ice Golem, right? Like usually Deadeyes, because I am a Deadeye, usually Deadeyes will get close to like 94, 95% accuracy without much issue because of like nodes like this. You have accuracy elsewhere, but an Ice Golem will give you a little bit of crit, and it will give you a little bit of accuracy, and so you can swap that in. But ultimately, the Golems, they die a lot. Okay, so I was even trying before. I was trying like minion resistances and life and stuff linked to this, and they just die all the time. Damage in the game now, especially in delves, the higher level delves, will kill your Golems all the time, and then they like move. There was a node right here that like if you were going over here, there's like a little minion regen node, but they like moved it over here. But you don't go over here anyways usually. But yeah, there used to be a minion regen node right here, but they moved it here, so you can't even do the secret tech unless I want to go like this. But anyways, that's neither here nor there. So that's your Golem choice right there. The other necessities that I believe for this are you are going to want to run a Grace. Okay, so Grace makes it very easy to hit a 45,000 evasion cap. If you get 45,000 evasion, that's basically capping out the Queen of the Forest. Queen of the Forest basically makes you move faster the more evasion you have, up to a certain maximum limit. So Grace makes it also easier to slack on your flask if you can't afford like a really nice like Jade Flask or something like that. So all around pretty good. I picked Vol Grace here, and if you don't have a Vol Grace, you want to get a 21 Grace. I believe that's about 50 to 60 chows right now. And I just chose Vol Grace because there's a lot of damage, a lot of like spiky damage down in the delves, a lot of spiky damage elsewhere, and this kind of helps mitigate that. And it's kind of weird because like when it's working, it's great, but like then if you get killed, then it's like obviously not working. It's like a weird thing, right? So Vol Grace is linked to an Enlighten, because the Enlighten is linked to a Herald of Ash. Now this is a fire-based build. Herald of Ash does work with it. I'm taking Avatar of Fire, obviously, over here to convert, but we'll talk about that in a sec. So the Herald of Ash, what it's doing is the Herald of Ash, when you overkill, you have a lot of overkill, right? Especially on some of the easier to kill enemies. So the overkill basically spreads to like this little area, and then the surrounding enemies burn, and it is a significant amount of damage. Nothing like out like too crazy, but if you link the Herald of Ash to say a Swift Affliction, which works, and a Burning Damage support, then it takes a little bit faster, and it is for cleanup. So now your forms of cleanup, right, once you've like hit an initial group of enemies, is you have the Ignite Proliferation. Proliferating those ignites all around, bigger AoE, so the hits are hitting a bigger area, and then you have a Herald of Ash, spreading around some more burns. So it's really nice. And if you ever try the cold version, you'll definitely notice how much better the cleanup is on a Herald of Ash and Fire based version, right? Another form of cleanup I have is the Rigvald's Quills, but we'll talk about that in a sec once we get to that. So that's Herald of Ash, once again linked to Swift Affliction and Burning Hand. Now you don't need the Enlighten. I'll just show you right here. If I take this out, I can still cast my Elemental 3 or 4 times, right? You'll obviously have a little bit of mana leech, but it just makes it a little bit smoother. Get like a level 3. I think it's like can't be that expensive right now, and you'll be fine. Right, Queen of the Forest, the most important role I would say is try to get yourself the evasion rating as close to 240 as possible. That's the maximum roll. You know, life, try to get that to 70 is the maximum roll. And then as for the resist, do a filter in PoE trade for a total resist roll, right? You can put that whatever you want. You want it to be 60, you want it to be 65, and then it will filter. You don't have to do the individual fire, cold, and lightning. Okay, so overall, Queen of the Forest. This one right here is, I think, for bow builds, if you're playing softcore and you're just like kind of, you know, you're kind of just like chilling, and you want to like just feel good in the build. I think this is a mandatory chest. Okay, so that's what's right there. I forgot to talk about the gloves when I moused over it. Gloves, you're just looking for evasion-based gloves. Once again, you're trying to hit evasion cap of 45,000 with all your flasks up. So these have 400 evasion. There's nothing really special here. These I've had since day 3 of the league, so just life, a little bit of resist that you know, shores up whatever missing resist you have. If you get attack speed on it, fine, but you don't have to. The physical attack damage basically does nothing because I'm all fire damage. And so yeah, really easy to get these gloves. These are probably like, I don't know, 10C maybe. Boots, same thing. I don't even have an enchant on these boots. I've had these boots since like I think day 5, day 6 or something. Now, the 30% movement speed, obviously you want to get 35% if you can, because 5% movement speed, I think you can notice that. And then obviously the highest life roll that you can with a high evasion roll, right? Slink boots are really good for this because they have a really high base evasion, but you can get anything you want as long as it's once again, life, resist that you need, and then I would say at least 30% movement speed. 35 will be really expensive. Okay, enchant, I would go with probably 0.6% leech, life and mana leech if you've killed recently, but you can also go 10% movement speed if you haven't been hit recently, and then once again that's your clear speed, and that'll feel better as well. I don't really want to do laps, so I just went without this entire time. I just never had a boot enchant, which kind of sucks. Okay. And if you're asking about glove enchant, I don't think any of the DPS enchants really matter that much. So I think Commandment of Reflection, where you get a little decoy, a little clone guy, is the best one. But glove enchants don't really matter. Maybe if you get like a corrupted Ellie weakness on hit or something, or like, you know, something like that. But what else do we have here? Did I talk about the bow? Oh yeah, so the bow I'm using is because I don't have a single target setup, right? Like usually people have like a Frostferno or like a bow swap where they remove the GMP and they put in like slower proj, right, for a little bit of extra big damages. I don't have that. I just have one 6-link for my Ellie hit, and that's it. So I want the most balanced version of that, right? And so what I've chosen to do is I've chosen to go Chin Soul because it's 100% more damage with arrow hits at close range. That does work with this right here, point blank. So you do big damage when you're right up in the enemy's face. And then obviously for clearing it doesn't matter, right? Because Ellie hit does enough damage. Where clearing trash is, and especially with the Herald of Ash setup and everything we mentioned earlier, is super easy. So we'll talk about like gear swaps later, okay? After we go over all the initial gear. So next, Deboto's Devotion here. I chose this once again because it gives 20% increased movement speed, right? That's huge. And also it has a massive amount of evasion on here. 700 plus evasion is pretty easy to get. I mean, this is like a high rolled one, 197 at the cost of like the dex roll and like the Chow's roll being really low. And I chose to go elemental hit, deals a little bit increased damage, but I think the attack speed is maybe a little bit better, but that one was like really expensive, and this one was only, at the time I bought it, was like a couple exalts. And so you don't even need it though. If you put this in PoE, the 40% increased damage, it's not a more multiplier. A lot of people think that's a more multiplier to the base skill, but it's not. It's just an increased modifier. So it doesn't do that much. So if you need to, you can buy like a a really good Devotos that's not enchanted, and you'll be fine. It can't be more than 10-20 C right now, because on day 2 or 3 I think it was like 20 something C. So that'll be cheap as well. The amulet, I'm using a Yoke of Suffering. This gives a resist, which is actually really nice. A little bit of attributes, which can be nice if you're suffering from int. I know that early on, my combustion and my ignite prolif. Oh my god, this one's 14%. These two, I was like kind of struggling on the int, right? 'Cause the character wasn't smart enough. So I was like, oh man. And so the attributes actually help a little bit. Now, the big part about this is the shock, right? So shock is huge. Shock is a more multiplier, right? So elemental damage can shock, your fire can shock, makes it really, really strong. Because think about it like another link to your elemental hit. So pretty good stuff, and it's extremely easy to shock. You'll take big chunks with this amulet. Very nice. And then as for the rings, so here is where like there's a lot of swaps. I'm gonna tell you what I'm using. I'm using a Stormfire, an opal ring, so 25% increase LE damage. Not a little bit of help there. Mana regen, a little bit of help there. There's the 50 total res on this one, which is pretty nice, and then 6% increased burning damage for each shocked enemy, right? That wasn't shocked before. So when you clear a pack, let's say there's 10, 20 monsters in that pack. Let's say you get like 60 to 120% increased burn damage, and then so obviously you have Herald of Ash, you have a little ignite prolif, and then so it's pretty good. Yeah, I think you could definitely feel it with this ring, so that's great. Now the lightning damage against ignite enemies, obviously you're using Avatar Fire, so a little bit of conversion. The build did get nerfed a little bit. We'll talk about that later as well. So yeah, the lightning damage, a little bit of that gets converted to the fire damage. So not bad, right? This ring right here. So I am using this because I wanted a little bit extra life. I have like the 70+ life here, and I don't have any kind of like curse on hit or curse setups on this build. So now what happens is every time I hit an enemy, they get cursed with Assassin's Mark, and this is a crit based build. So they have that crit chance added on top of what you have. That's how the Assassin's Mark works, and obviously like crit multi and stuff like that. And it's really nice, and it feels good. Big damages, but there are swaps, and we'll go over all the swaps together. Later on, physical damage obviously a little bit gets converted, and yeah, this ring is definitely not mandatory though. I just like how it feels. I have tested out a lot of ring setups though. And then as for the quiver, now this is also swappable. I'm choosing to use a Rigvald because obviously like you get a little bit of projectile damage, no big deal. The big part is the projectile's fork, and also the life gain at hit is kind of nice too if there's a lot of enemies nearby. But projectile's fork I felt was really good for the clear, because what you can do actually with a Deadeye is the way it'll work with the pierce is the chain is it will fork like this, and then it will chain. So the initial hits, because there's the remaining chains, if you take this node, you do a little bit more damage, right? So it's fine, it's a little bit of clear, and it felt really good to me. And but you don't have to go this. You can also go straight up pierce if you want. See, I chose this because this got me from like, I think this got me from like 93, 94 to 95, which is, decent amount of accuracy increase, and then 50% increase AoE when you don't have an AoE increase, right? Like kind of like a DR, like a diminishing return on your elemental hit. I thought 50% felt pretty good as well, and an additional projectile, so it's like more clear, and it's more clear, like more spread initial clear, and then more AoE clear. So that's my reasoning for this. But I was using this for a very long time, but I'm just like testing different things out. So you try this, see which one feels better to you, and that's I recommend both. There's no right answer there. Okay. What else? The belt, you don't need a headhunter. I got this from a reliquary key on day what was it, like day 5 or something? So extremely lucky. Strength Dex helps, and then obviously when you steal the headhunter belts, the things you're looking for are the 2 haste auras, the deadly mod, right? Crit chance. But you definitely don't need this. If I didn't use this, I'll be wearing Abyssgos because it has a little bit of quant, and it also has rampage stacks, which are speed, and it's like bonuses, cool looking bonuses on the screen every like what is it, like 50, 100 stacks up to a certain amount, and it caps out at 1,000. So that's really nice as well. Also a little bit of rarity. Rarity is actually pretty cool. Dropping more uniques is a good time if you have a good filter. That because like when a unique drops, you know, it's like, oh, it's like something I might actually want to pick up. So good stuff right there. And then as for the flask, once again, crit. It is crit based. So overall theme of flask is this: you have to solve at least, at bare minimum, 2 things, right? You need to solve your staunching, unless you have a jewel that's corrupted with, like, can't be afflicted with corrupting blood, because that's like the big bleed that you don't want to get hit with. So you have to solve staunching, right? Just for like the ease of mind, and you have to solve heat, okay? Because you get frozen, and sometimes you don't know about it. You think it's like lag or something. You're just gonna get destroyed. So you need heat and staunching, and then a third one that I would really recommend that's mandatory for me is warding, because you get hit by temp chains and feeble, you know, all LE weakness. If you're not perfectly capped for LE weakness, you know, you're gonna feel really bad while doing maps. So I think warding is also kind of required, but not like, you know, like the baseline required. So here I have experimenters just because I want to last a little bit longer, and staunching. So for you know, over 6 seconds, I'm immune to the bleeding, which is really nice. And then I get, you know, I get to roll my crits twice. This one, a Stibnite Flask, I really like the Smoke Cloud. You don't have any other form of blind on this build. So blind basically, like if there's an attack-based enemy, it is going to be between your acro, like right here, especially if you take these nodes, between your evasion, they're just not going to hit you, okay? There's no way. So Stibnite Flask is a huge defensive flask, but it's a little bit unreliable if you're moving around too much. And but I think it's like, this is crazy good. And the good thing is that it lasts so long. I mean, look at that duration on that thing. And then so I put the warding on this because it lasts the longest, because a curse on the map is permanent. It's like ever present. So you want this to last as long as possible, right? This right here, everybody knows about this. Alchemist Quick Silver Flask of Adrenaline. You want to get a 30% increased movement if you can. But 30% might be a lot more expensive than, say, like, you know, 25, 26. So buy whatever you can afford. This is just for clear speed. Experimenter Jade Flask Reflexes. So this one right here, you can also go Alchemist Jade Flask sometimes and even drop the reflexes if you need this suffix open. Remember, all you need is 45,000 evasion. So you can play around with this, but I think a Jade Flask is necessary for cap. Some form of Jade Flask is necessary for capping the evasion. So test out in PoB. If you need an Alchemist Jade Flask, if you need an Alchemist Jade Flask of reflexes, do you need Experimenter's Jade Flask reflexes? This one was fine enough for me, and the Alchemist Jade Flask reflex is way more expensive. This one was a few C, even though it was 100% roll because I whooped it, but the Alchemist one will be much more expensive, okay? Because most people like think you need that one. And this one, I'm not too happy with this flask right here. It's a Chemist Silver Flask of Heat. Now, I don't have any other way of getting Onslaught, and so because of that, I'm just going with the pretty much permanent Onslaught from the flask, and it solves my heat issues, right? So like, if let's say you didn't want like warding, you could move the heat to like the warding, and then you could like just, you know, maybe you could get Abyssal Jewels or something that have Onslaught on them, or like some other form, but yeah. Excuse me. So those are my flasks. You can also start doing like Wise Oak stuff if you have your resist correct for the fire, and all kinds of other things. There's also some other swaps in here that you can do. This is not by any means like mandatory. If you find that, you know, you're okay some other way, you know, swap out your flasks, no big deal. Okay, let's talk about the skill tree, and then let's talk about the gear swaps, because gear swaps is actually kind of a big part. So you have to have Avatar of Fire, okay? You have to have this. If you don't have Exopiage's Blood, the necklace, you're going to go up here and you're going to grab this, okay? You can also like go into this area if you want, but I chose to like stay down here. Okay, so the skill tree is basically you're taking the juicy life notes that are like normal, I guess, for a bow-based character. So you're looking at Revenge, you're looking at Herbalism right here, you're looking at like what is it, like Jolem's Blood right here, you know, you got some thick skin right here. So you just take all the life nodes there. Primal Spirit and Druidic Rite for like the flask stuff is really nice, because you can just like spam, and then you always have uptime on all your defensives, and it just feels really nice to always have flask, right? If you're ever like running around and you like don't have your Quicksilver or something, or like it doesn't last as long, it just feels kind of bad. So these two right here, I would say are really nice nodes, okay? Okay, As for your leech, I chose this to get Vitality Void, and I didn't get this one right here because I didn't feel like I needed the 0.4 as life. I'd rather have this 0.4 as mana, which you would get here anyways, but then this one's a little bit faster leech per second, right? So I just think that trade-off was worth it for me, but you can definitely move this one over here. This is just so I can leech a little bit faster. Everybody knows about the new Vault Pact, right? It just gains your health back faster when you're actually hitting and attacking, so it's a little bit safer because I don't have a life potion, okay? Point blank, once again, it works with Qin Soul. You're usually up in a mob's face when you're running around, and so this was just a more straight up more multiplier. You have your Wed, weapon elemental damage here. You have, it's a crit build, so crit multi here. Now Acro, when I didn't have Acro, oh man, it was so bad. So I think Acro is one of the biggest things you can take, and also Phase Acro if you want, that will make you go, wow, my build feels a lot better now, right? And it is one of those things where like when you do get hit, you're like, ah, man, that really hurts, but a lot of times you just don't get hit, and this feels amazing. So like I like skill points on a tree where like you take it, right, and then you instantly feel it on your character. And same with unique items, right? Like for example, let's say I dropped this right here. Let's say I dropped like this, or let's say I dropped like this, or like, you know, like this. I wouldn't really feel it, not really, right? But you take this and you're gonna feel it. So this is great. Make sure you take this. Okay, got some wets, some life here, jewel sockets, and then basically crit and life. And I'm using a yoke, so I go up here. Now this right here is a choice I made because I don't like Blood Rage. When I have Vault Pact, I can't regen life, and so sometimes in the idle times, my life would just go. I hated that, and so I didn't want to use Blood Rage on this build because I don't like maintenance. I don't like that stuff. And so what I did, and also the Blood Rage, the leech part, you don't even get the benefit of the leech. You get a little bit of attack speed, sure, but and like frenzy generation, but nah. Okay, so what I did is Intuitive Leap right here, and now Overcharge. This is enough if you're clearing like if you're even like half-assing your clear speed, you're going to always have Frenzy, Power, Endurance charges, right? So Power, obviously your crit build, once again, great. Frenzy, more multiplier. If you have 3 Frenzies, 12% more damage, a little bit of attack speed there. Endurance charge, you know, a little bit of resist if you need it, but it gives you a little bit physical reduction. So I really love this. And then since you're here, you can take Melding. If you need a little bit of mana, you can even take Dreamer. So I recommend this. Try this out. If you're fine running Blood Rage and whatever, and like whatever else you want to do, maybe you have like some curse on hit setups, maybe you have like some other weird stuff going on, maybe you don't want the frenzies or the endurance or even maybe the power charges, no big deal, right? Because like for me, I have Assassin's Mark on the ring, so I don't technically need the power charges, but it is sometimes nice to get, especially on hexproof maps or whatever like that. This will still work on hexproof, so I took this. And then, other than that, the 2 jewels you'll need that are mandatory if you're going the fire-based is you will be going cannot choose lightning and cannot choose cold, right? So that makes it so that every single shot is fire, if you can see here. The good way to test this, though, because it was like a weird wording or something where it was like down here it said like int and or like somewhere down here. But if you're ever worried about if it works or not, you can do this. See, you can like put your mouse on the edge of the socket, and if it shows up, it works. See, or you can just like shoot your stuff, shoot your juice. Look, it's all fire, right? So you know it works. And so these are really cheap. Even the 15%, this one's not, but 15% LE hit damage on them, not too pricey, right? Because these drop quite often. Well, they're like uncommon, but they do drop quite often. And so you get those 2. You can also use this jewel slot down here if you do go Exopiage's Blood, right there. And so yeah, you need those 2 jewels, okay? Other jewels I'm using a Watcher's Eye somewhere. Where's my Watcher's Eye? It's gone. It's right here. So this is a Grace one. All you need is Grace. The other rolls do not matter. So this is a clear speed build, and it's 15% increased movement speed when affected by Grace. So free movement speed, it's fantastic. A little bit of life, a little bit of mana, whatever. Really great jewel right there. If you want to go like more move speed, you can go quick step right here. You can even do celerity. Where is that? Right here, right? This gives evasion as well if you're lacking on that. So there's like other ways to gain movement speed right here. I was down here for a long time, right? Like Jewel Socket, Jolem's Blood, maybe even Frenzy and Cloth and Chain if you need resistances. You know, Furry Bolt into Art of Gladiator into Bravery. This removes the penalty from your chest, so a little bit extra movement speed there. Really nice, and attack speed. Okay, what else do I need to talk about? So this is like the general tree right here. Okay, now for the big part, the item swaps, and this is going to be a little bit iffy, so bear with me. Let's start with the amulet because we're in the skill tree anyways. If you take this, the Yoke of Suffering, and you put in an Exopiage's Blood, okay, then what's going to happen is this one right here, this combat focus will go right here, okay? And you're gonna drop all this, all of this, all of this. I'll keep this right here, but I'll drop from this dex node on, I'll delete all this, and I move it down into here, into here, into here, into here, 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 okay? And the reason for that is because you don't need Avatar Fire, because Avatar Fire is on the Exopiage's Blood if you choose to use that amulet, so it frees up those points, right? And in my testing, I can't really notice a difference. I've tried the Exopiage's Blood, I've tried the Yoke, I didn't really notice a difference. So you can use either one. I mean, this one's cheaper at the time of this recording. It's probably like a little bit over 2 exalts. Exopiage's amulet might be 10, 11, 12 exalts, so you gotta be careful with that. But Exopiage's Blood will also, I mean, it gives you free Avatar Fire, so it saves points that you can, you know, play around with down here. So that's one big swap you can do. If you use an Exopiage's Blood, you do not use a Stormfire, because then you're not shocking, so you're not getting the burn here. So what you can then do is you can put on a Pyre, okay? You use a Pyre Ring. You also use a Call of the Brotherhood here if you want for a little bit of conversion, but once again, the way the elemental hit was nerfed is that the converted damage from that, because it can only choose fire, but it can convert the lightning and cold parts into the fire, but before it was like just everything. Now it's 50% less, okay? So if you look at like the really good gear POBs that were out in 3.3, lost maybe like 30 to 40% damage. Okay, it's big nerf, but like still pretty strong skill. So I wouldn't like, it's not like completely mandatory to get all your conversions like as much as you can, but if you want a little bit extra damage, you can use a Pyre here. Now if you use a Pyre, the big thing to note is that you will first, you don't want to use Ignite Prolift, because you can't Prolift because the Pyre is just going to like explode all the corpses. You'll see this on the screen. And so you will replace this with a Fire Pen, okay? Another thing with Pyre is that, you know, you'll have a Frostferno set up, right? And so you might change your gems up in the Frostferno. As for the yeah, and then once again, this ring you use Call the Brotherhood. You can use, you know, the Tame. You can use like a ring like this. You can pretty much use anything you want here. This, if you don't care about speed, this helmet you can use a Frostferno. Frostferno is pretty nice because if you put it, it's basically a 5 link already, and well, it's actually more like it's a 6 link already because it's basically already empowered. But you can get a corrupted Frostferno, right? For like +2, that'd be really strong but really expensive. And you can also go, where else can you go here? Actually, I wouldn't swap this for anything else. If you're going a single target damage setup, you go Frostferno right here. Okay. Chest swaps, you would go Combs. Combs is really strong because you only need 1 6-link setup in this build, and so you can either have it on your chest or your bow. Doesn't matter. And so Combs doesn't. It's not much of a detriment. Okay. And as for this, you can swap this for just like a rare quiver. Maybe you go +1 arrow. You know, there's some nice quivers out there. And then the good thing about rare quivers is that they're relatively cheap, even for the really good ones, right? Rigvald is like 7 exalts. So but I choose to use Rigvalds because it felt better for clear. But rare quiver swap is totally fine. What else is there to swap? Oh, and the bow. Okay, so the bow, you could put in, if you have like really good gear, I think you could put in a Quill Rain, maybe. Because the Quill Rain, I mean, attacks so fast, and the Mirage Archer will be going ham for like really low level content. Maybe try Quill Rain, or you can try a Shaper base bow with you know, plus level of gems to up the elemental hit, maybe a little bit of 20% double damage, you know, maybe a little bit of conversion. You know, you could try a plus gems bow, you know, 2, 3, whatever you want. So there's some options here. Chinsoul unlinked is really cheap right now, even if you go for 14% attack speed and like a higher physical damage roll. So that shouldn't really cost you too much. What else is there? I already talked about Biscos instead of Headhunter. And I think that's about it. Yeah. One thing I'll go over is I have... So what was I talking about when this is like a little midway point between like Magic Find and just going for like an okay feeling build? So I took out all the necessities, or I took out all the non-essentials. So I'm leveling 20 volatile deads. If I was really going ham, there's 4 in here, there's 4 in here, there's 4 in here, there's 6 in my offhand. I can place like another couple in here if I dropped a link. So it's 20 gems, and let's say that you get 1 out of 6, so every 20 you should get around 3. Maybe you get lucky, you get 4 or 5. And let's say that the gem you're leveling, you were smart and you pick something that you thought would sell in like the next cycle, right? Because PoE Ninja is always like 1 cycle behind. And so what would happen there is, like, let's say it's 2 exalts, right? So you get 6 exalts, and because you can do this. Let's say you're running beyond maps, you can do it once per day, or you're doing high level content. You know, you cycle your gems once per day. So essentially every day or two you're getting like 6 exalts on average. So, you know, in a week, you know, 40 plus exalts if you're keeping up with the gem leveling. And so it's a lot of money, okay, unless you get super unlucky or like everyone starts leveling your gem or something when it goes on like 1 exalt or something, like, you know, Herald of Ice or something like that. So I level like a ton of these gems, you level them fast, and then you sell them, right? So that's what I'm doing. I really don't like Magic Find. I might end up playing. I'm going to convert this, kind of sell all this stuff, so I can convert to Magic Find, just because it is so worthwhile, and you can still strip it down and level gems. But for now, it's pretty good. I like the build a whole lot. It's been enjoyable. The Herald of Ash MTX are really cool to look at. One more thing I'll say is, if you do want to go a cold version of this, like you've probably seen Uber Dan's cold version for a little bit of safety in the delves, you're going to take out Herald of Ash, you're going to take out all the sporting gems, you're going to put in a Herald of Ice, okay? And then with the Herald of Ice, you're also going to change this up. So you're not going to do Ignite Prolif, you're not going to do Combustion. What you're going to do is you're probably going to do Hypothermia and... what was the next one? Damage on full life. You can put in damage on full life, Hypothermia instead of these 2 blue. So I believe it will be 4 green, 2 red on your 6 link, which is really easy to get, okay? And you can try that. Obviously, you would drop the combat focus that makes it not be able to choose cold. You put in a combat focus that would allow you to not choose fire instead. So you'd swap this one out, and then you'd only choose cold. And it's nice because it's like the shatters are very nice on Herald of Ice. You know, it's safe because chill and freeze are really powerful defensive mechanics. You know, feels really nice. And in delves, you know, freezing enemies is a lot nicer, I'd say. So if you really want to go deep in delves, try out the ice version. You know, it's pretty good stuff. Slap on a Combs maybe. That's the ice version. That's it. It's a really easy swap. Obviously, if you go ice, you're not going to take Avatar of Fire. You're not going to use Exopiage's Amulet. You're going to use a Yoke of Suffering. Yeah, and you'll switch out your rings. You can, like, I was using like this and like a Taming, I think, but everything else pretty much stays the same. Nice build. Kind of sad I didn't play it when it was OP, but that's about it. Go Deadeye. It's basically this. See here, you can change this for this. Pantheons, Lunars. I just did this for the move speed. Avoiding projectiles obviously is really nice. Projectiles that have chained, avoiding that is also really nice because you have a minion out sometimes. And then immune to poison is really nice to not get caught off guard by poison maps. Okay, so these are the Pantheons here. That's it. I hope I cover everything. Hope you guys have a nice day. Okay, bye.